All right, let's call this to order. Pelican Preserve Association or Pelican Preserve Advisory Committee, can't remember which group I'm in. It's just a thought. Well, rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Your button. It is. Yeah.
Pledge allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll take a quick roll call. Marty.
Morning, if it's all present.
Alan.
Alan's here. Ed's here.
John Barry's here.
Peggy Hall is here and Tom Shaner had already let us know that he was not here.
Correct. And Laura Leroy's here.
And Laura Leroy is here. Before we move on to public comment, I would like to change something on our agenda. The section where we are going to look at appointments for this.
8C, item 8C.
Item
Charlie,
8.
just for Marty.
8, Charlie. I would like to defer that to next week because we don't have all of the group here.
We will.
Next month. Yeah, thank you. Anybody have an issue with that?
And I did tell Peggy, we did get another candidate, so there'll be 2 on.
Okay, okay.
It just came in today, actually.
Oh, wow, nice. Okay. All right. Do we have any public comment?
I have one from Mr. Joel Schofield. It's a non-agenda.
Mr. Joe Schofield, please come up.
Joe Schofield, Trina, thank you. Last week I came to the CDD meeting and there was an agenda item at the end of the meeting concerning the metrics for the taxing. And there was a request from the fellow apparently, or the person, whoever it is, for a methodology for community association. And the request was to have a meeting without lawyers or any board members present. And there was no one here from the community association and no one here from PPAC. Now, I don't know if there's any coordination.
It was online. So,
Well,
Was at the meeting.
I don't know if there's coordination between PPAC and the community association or not. But that request to have that meeting came within an eyelash of not happening. Because nobody, you might have been online, but nobody voiced any opinion other than Bob and Carol, who fought judiciously and gallantly to try to get that happening. And by the thread of a tooth, they made it. And if I recall correctly, there's a report due tomorrow. So they told these people, you have to find a time, get together and meet and have a final report by Friday of this week. I think that was horrible. I think Pelican Preserve deserves more attention and more cooperation between our governing bodies than what the appearance was, at least to me, when I was sitting in that meeting. The other comment I have is we have an election coming up. We have a board member on PPAC who basically is a representative of the community association. And depending on how that election goes, what will happen to that position on PPAC?
This person was elected as an individual, not as a representative of PPAC or PPAC.
Okay, so the community association does not have a sitting.
And they would not have,
representative.
no, they do not have a standing member on this committee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your opinions.
I can chime in just a
Yep.
little bit of clarification on that meeting. Well, at first, I will tell you, it didn't happen. We were not able to coordinate a time. We tried really hard to make something work. We gave them 4 days and we were not able to come up with anything. But that meeting was a result of a conversation between the 2 lawyers, the PPCA lawyer and Tony and Chelsea and myself.
Okay.
That's where that meeting request came from, in addition to the memo from the legal counsel for PPCA, who drafted that with the help of PPCA and Fishkind to request the meeting as well as lay out the topics that were going to be discussed. So it's not like we just said, hey, we want to meet. That request actually came from the PPCA.
I understand.
And I will say, I was at that meeting, Joe, at the board meeting. But I've also been working with Carol and Bob to understand the methodology. And Bob and I were going to meet with Russ to go over some things. And I was uninvited to the meeting because
Or advice of
He
counsel.
he can't, yeah, on advice of counsel that he can't talk to anybody but the board members and staff, so, as I understand it, so. We are trying to understand what's going on and have influence where we can, but we're kind of being shut out of it too.
Very true. All right, nothing else? That was it?
That was it.
Okay, very good.
I have something for later, but that's it.
Okay. Moving on to 5A, B, and C.
I'd make a motion to approve items 5, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie as written.
As written, no edits. Anyone have any?
Second.
We've got a second. Any discussion or any modifications requested? Do it. Okay, so let's call the vote. Everybody in favor?
Marty said aye.
Aye. All right, unanimously got that off the table.
So it's Marty with the motion and John with the second.
You got, oh, thank you. Okay, moving on to the financial report, 6 Alpha. I'm learning. Okay. So what is our status with the audit? I know we're supposed to be seeing it end of March. Are we still?
We're still working on it. I have been getting requests probably every couple of days from the auditors. Today it was down to just 2 things that they're just clarifying on. So the stuff that I'm being asked right now is more like the things at the very end of the audit, like they're just tying up loose ends, asking some of the questions, stuff like all the hard stuff appears to be out of the way. I have not been advised that we are behind schedule, so to the best of my knowledge, we will have it by then.
And you will not get the notice to move anything within the categories until.
Until the audit is finalized.
Okay, correct.
And that the recommendations of movement come from the auditors based on the results of the audit.
So we're all just treading water a little bit right now.
Yep, if everything goes well, they should get done in April and they'll reflect in your April financials.
So
So
let's hope, let's hope. Okay, so looking at what we've got,
Or will that be the March, what the March?
No, April financial.
April financial,
Yeah.
so we'll see it in May.
I'm assuming that we won't get them in time to post on the March. So you'll, well, actually you'll see them, yeah, you'll see them in May on the April financial.
but we will not have anything to inform early budgetary work, correct? We'll
As far as carry forward, I'll know what it is, it just won't reflect on your financials. So I'll be able to share that information with you while we're doing budget stuff. You just won't see it in your financials until we get them after you.
All right, so we're sitting in a fairly similar place to we were last.
Well, are you gonna put it on the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. All my controllers.
Hold 1
are
second,
fighting. We
Rob.
had some weird meeting in here over the weekend and I can't.
You're in the dark.
I don't even know where the meeting is.
Well, here. Can you see it there?
I got it.
I don't even know where the controller is for the TV. Somebody stole it. No, I can't because I don't. So let's walk over there and turn it on.
Oh, here's a remote over here.
Oh, that's what I need.
What?
We had somebody rent the room this weekend. Yeah, Marty's like, no, you can't see it. Hopefully it's on the right channel. This is always the fun part. We used to being here and this reminded me, check the camera, check the TV. See what it does. Every time somebody's in here, this gets messed up. Nope. Alright.
I have it on my iPad if you want it.
Should have given us one things. Supposed to be on one. I think sometimes I have to fix it.
George, you want me to?
No, Georgia calls me to fix it.
She's her own tech support.
Do not touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Appreciate everybody's patience while we try to get the TV going.
We can honestly say that budget's in the door.
How's that for transparency? Let's all make puns about this.
Yes.
That's dangerous.
Oh, sorry, I asked.
Yeah. Bring it up on your phone.
It's like when the power blips at home and it
Oh.
takes forever.
Oh, no, that's because somebody was.
Everything's like a-
Wow, this might put in a cocktail hour.
We wouldn't want that.
We're talking about it being a shorter meeting because short agenda.
Hey.
Somebody, they touched my
Applause.
cables.
Never fear, Lars.
They unplugged the wrong things and swapped everything around. So there we go. All right. Sorry about that.
All right, so any comments on the budget as it stands right now, either at the subcommittee, committee levels, either one?
I just have one comment on this one. It shows a net change in fund balance of 190,000. On another report that Stephen does for the board, he reports that as carry forward. And it's really not, to me, there's a difference because this, at the beginning of the 24 budget year, we had to make a transfer from our unassigned reserves to pay for the emergency road.
Mhm.
And that affected our change in fund balance. So our change in fund balance would have been like $250,000 or whatever we transferred more. Because that's not the, so there's just a difference in semantics a little bit in that because the actual groups carry forward. We actually had more carry forward in the non-pond landscaping and that, but when you net it out, it was only 14,000 difference for a change in fund balance. So next year, if he uses the same methodology, we'll actually have a negative change in fund balance because we used our reserves to pay off the bond. So it'll be a negative change in fund balance negative carry forward on his report other report that he does. So it's confusing. I had to go back and forth with him to understand where this number came from because it
Well, everything
reported as carry forward, so.
Everything that I'm seeing is all the subcommittees are working within budget. There doesn't seem to be anything that is
Right.
untold or unexpected at this point. So again, fingers crossed.
Yep, I agree. I know you're watching.
Yeah.
This is Marty.
Hi, Marty.
With the budget season approaching, should we direct all subcommittees to attempt a 10% cut in their total funding?
Should we? Is that what you're proposing?
That's what I'd like to propose.
Okay. Why don't you talk about it a little bit? What's your thought? Just to maintain or reduce or?
But, well, a reduction would be good. So I hear a lot of residents complaining about the fees going up from the community association and also they're paying fees to Gateway.
Mhm.
And they're getting to the point where they can no longer afford these fees. And some of my neighbors are thinking of putting their houses up for sale.
Okay.
Laura, when do we actually start the budget process?
Until the methodology gets settled out, I'm planning to bring to you guys after April, well, I won't be here, Chelsea will be here, after April meeting, the capital projects and like the bigger stuff, the big picture things that you guys like to try to accomplish, because ultimately it does roll from you to the subcommittees as far as what your budget stuff will be for the big ticket items. And I'm taking those items to our board of supervisors for Gateway as a whole at the first meeting in April. So if you guys want to think about that, I'll make sure there's an agenda reminders for next month. And then we'll start talking like serious numbers in May, and then you guys will meet.
On the Gateway side, their capital items are in a separate capital budget,
Correct, but you still have capital projects that you and.
but we do them within our operating budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a separate fund.
Right.
I will take it upon myself to contact each of the subcommittee chairs, though, to make sure that they are developing their own budget.
I would probably, what my plan is to send out an email to each of the chairs and including yourself.
Okay.
The chairs of each of the three subcommittees and you with here, get this on your radar. We need to start talking about this. High water mark's gotta get set in June, so.
Right, and
This
with
is where they're all
some of the
spaghetti.
groups not meeting though for 2 months, I want it to go out like ASAP.
Yep, I'll take care of it this week or for sure Monday.
Thank you.
The one thing,
Yeah, a lower high water.
one thing I've been trying to communicate to those subcommittees as they go through the assessment methodology. I've tried to communicate that it's going to be more important to actually get the right amounts budgeted in the right line items. Because there's going to be more assessment allocation buckets. And waterway gets one methodology applied to it, roads and landscaping gets another methodology. So like within landscaping, the roads and sidewalks and those things get one methodology, but monuments and things get another methodology applied to their allocation. And in safety and security, the roads get one. And then like the guardhouse goes into the Pelican admin with a different allocation. So where in the past, they weren't too worried about the individual line items as long as the bottom line number, but with the different allocation methodologies applying it differently, it's going to be more important to actually have the line items more what they think they're actually going to spend in those line items. So,
And while we're not precluded from moving money from one subcommittee to another, it would be in our best fiduciary interest to make sure that those buckets are as clearly identified as possible.
Yep, and on the budget in the past, those lines were always, the column with the buckets was always there. I just didn't share that with you guys because it didn't matter as before. Yeah, it didn't matter before now. So this year when the budget sheets go out, they will have the bucket for everyone in there as well. So not only is the line item, it's the bucket, it's the dollar amount, all of that will be there.
So when you communicate to the subcommittee chairs, will you give them a little bit more of that?
I'll lay out like the explanation of how the sheet will be different this time and there's 4 buckets for everything. Yep. And they can only pick from one of the 4, so nobody can type in their own.
I take a different approach, I guess, than Marty. I understand what you're talking about, but I don't think we're in a position to tell the subcommittees you need to take 10% out at this point.
They report to us.
They might report to us, but they also are in charge of their particular subcommittee and know it best, know it better than what we do, basically. And at the end of the year, and I mean, Ed pretty well communicates with all of them, and I know you do too. I don't think that we ought to be telling them at this particular point that they ought to be taking 10% away. Let's wait and see how things go.
Or what is just ask them?
Well, I think we always say, be accurate, do not inflate. Because, if we come back and ask you to take off 3 to 5%, it was what I was thinking. Then we want to make sure that they know what they're not going to be doing.
Right.
So I guess I tend to think, let's just give them the market of what they need to be achieving and let them know that it will be looked at very strongly later because we've got a lot of pressures.
And that fine line that you have to walk too is that if you set the bar too low in June, you can't add. So
True.
it's always better to err on the side of caution. I'm not saying to pad it, but I'm just saying to not knock too much off for the June numbers and then worry about whittling that down before we get to the final adopted budget in August.
Understood.
I just want to make sure we're not, prune too much and then you end up falling short.
I would rather give them guidance to be as austere as possible.
Yeah.
I know the ponds, they're starting a program of the restoration and trying to figure out what that's you know, they've got the best handle probably on what their actual costs are on
Especially
a
with.
basis. But they're starting a program of bank restoration, which may mean it might have to inflate a little bit. Landscaping's now got a couple of years where they've underspent their budget for a couple of years, so they may be able to make more downward adjustments than others.
More permanent.
Yeah, and safety and security is, you know, starting the road, and they're just trying to get a handle on
Right.
budgets, because all of those were historically up in the admin categories, and have moved down to where they're actually trying to manage it. So I think it's just more of a be as austere as possible.
And especially safety and security is gonna have the FPL project,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be a bite.
So we're an over 55 community. Most everybody is probably retired on a fixed income. And we can't continue with this increasing of the rates because the community association just went up, what, 14% last year? And I think they'll have a mutiny if they go up another 14%.
Sure they would.
And we certainly don't want to overburden our residents also with our assessment.
And I agree. We want to be prudent, we want to be conservative, and we want to make sure that we take care of the community though. I mean, for us, it's not what new are we gonna do, it's what maintenance we're gonna be doing mostly.
Well, and basically, the three subcommittees basically held their budgets
This year.
flat.
A couple went down a little bit.
Yeah.
Active safety and security.
This year.
Yeah, the landscape. went down a
And
little.
there was a big increase in admin, which we dipped into our unassigned reserves to cover, and that admin building overages that we're gonna have this year, so.
And are we gonna have a lot of those again?
I don't know, we haven't even started looking yet, so we're doing our best as well. There shouldn't be any surprises this year, where like last year with the admin building coming in higher than what we were expecting, that was a hit for, we got hit hard too, so.
When's that supposed to be completed?
April of 26.
So it will.
They're supposed to.
Most
start
of it will carry
next month.
over into the twenties, what we don't spend there carry
Yeah,
over into
it's
the
supposed to be
26.
here.
Yeah.
The other thing that we did do for the residents is we paid off the bond, which for everybody in Old Pelican, I think on average, that's about $150 a year savings for everybody in Old Pelican that they will see next year.
Yeah.
So
And it also, yeah,
think we're
it was a
trying to-
very good move on our part, I believe.
give ourselves a pat on the back for what we have tried to keep it constrained as much as we can. So I think.
What's your thoughts, Jim?
When I was in manufacturing, we used to send out a letter to our vendors every year, asking for a 5% reduction on pricing coming in. And really, our intent was to make sure we didn't come with a price increase. So, in a similar vein, but you also have to respect that the subcommittees we have really do a great job. They're all volunteers and they really take it to heart. So as long as we say, hey, we're looking for, you know, a no increased budget, or if there's an opportunity to reduce it anywhere from 2 to 5%, we'd be very interested in trying to push in that direction. At least then they'll know going in that I can't spend, you know, an extra $100,000 or $200,000 on something.
Doug's face is kind of sad, right?
No, I mean, you
He always smiles.
give us our budget and we'll do what we can do with it. We'll have to cut stuff out, that's all.
So did you want to make a formal recommendation to put that in and have it come to a vote, or did you just want to voice that you would like us to head in that direction?
I'd like to make it a motion, so vote on.
Okay, so we have a motion by Marty to direct the subcommittee
10%.
to do a 10% decrease in their budget for the next fiscal year. Do we have a second? We're not hearing any seconds, so the motion dies. But thank you for putting it on record. Okay, Ed, do you want to move into your?
I have one with Dave before that.
Yes,
I actually have something else. You guys have 1.75 million in your brokerage investment account, which wasn't currently being invested. And because we've been doing so much business with First Horizon Bank, they were doing their best to get us some decent interest rates. which I don't know what those are on these for sure, but, we did give Stephen Bloom the okay to ladder these, investments, and because they're T-bills, should something come up and you guys need the money, they're really easy to sell. So if we're in a pinch and you guys need cash, it's readily available even though it's invested in the T-bills. So we only touch that part. It's not you guys have, I don't think it shows on this report. It doesn't show on this report. You guys still have like almost $3 million in your bank, in the bank, so not counting that money, so.
And that one is laddered already.
No, that's, some of that's invested, yeah, but this is just that other money that's just sitting there, and so we thought, well, I think you guys were budgeted to make $10,000 in interest for the entire fiscal year. If memory serves, you're just over 40,000 in income so far this year. So we're doing our best to get you some money by just letting the money that's there work for you.
That would make good sense.
Why aren't we putting this money into a money market account?
That's the other one, the rest of the money is in a money market account.
Thank God we're not putting in the stock market.
Now might be a good time to buy, however.
So that was, I just wanted to make you aware that we're investing that for you.
Okay, and you don't need a motion or anything.
Nope,
That's
we already
just
did.
something that Stephen
Yeah,
just wanted. to-
Stephen and the bank both reached out and Chelsea and I approved it and they're gonna start doing those investments starting this month.
Good, thank you. Chelsea, thank you.
No, it's faster.
Not a lot of change here. I did want to say the February Laura just put the February financials out yesterday, but I think, and we're still we haven't received all the tax income yet. We're still like
94%.
94 or so percent, so there's still revenue from the taxes to come in. But on that one, it showed that our investment income as at the end of February was $80,000. So that's 70,000 more than what was they just throw a token 10,000 in the budget, so we're gonna see our fund balance surpluses increase a little bit as interest comes in throughout the year, so.
Do we have any concerns with the percentage that we've only gotten to date on the
No,
receipts?
We're
That's,
doing well, yeah.
any questions for Ed on his financials?
This is when income shortfall due to allocation methodology change. I thought that methodology wasn't.
There was at the end of the budget deliberation, they found some error in the allocation.
Oh, you're talking about 200,000?
200,000.
Yeah,
So
Not the new method.
it's
No,
not,
no, it's different methodology.
it's the old methodology, and it was overcharging the commercials.
and C5.
So, and the commercial, anything outside of the
Outside
fence,
was
so.
being charged the same as people inside the gate, which wasn't correct. And we caught that at the 9th hour there in the 11th hour, whatever, at the end, right before we were about to say go, and they're like, oh shoot, this is wrong. So we fixed it and it ended up being $200,000 more that needed to go inside the gate.
So it was decided basically just to use our reserves, to cover that rather than
Unassigned.
assign.
Unassigned reserves, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though, because you guys had made enough reductions in the budget that we were still below the high water mark, even with the addition of that extra assessment. But PPAC opted to use 198,000 from reserves instead of raising.
We did not want to raise.
It would have been a little over, I think it was over $70 increase would have been to the assessment.
But it was still less than what we said, that your taxes won't exceed X. Even with that change, it was below that number, but they didn't want to put it back in. We had to use it before.
I asked this question last month, but it seems like we're not getting any benefit from the fire credits, but those things ever go away?
Yeah. In April,
When do they go away?
next month.
Next month? They go,
End of next month.
It's like the
So-
25th or something like that.
And we haven't had any,
Not that I'm aware of, no, I haven't heard anything.
we're not gonna get a windfall out of that, I'm thinking.
yeah, apparently not.
I know he's working, that's the last I heard, is that just nobody's biting.
The amount was what, 600 and some thousand at one point, or?
The broker, made a presentation at the board meeting a couple of months ago. And said they're just or even with, they're down to 50% of the face value, that they just,
Yeah, he was saying that they have to be in a certain spot in their permitting cycle and build cycle, and they weren't finding that sweet spot for the.
Well, the point being, I guess, is that we can just kind of cut them off then. It's nothing we can count on in the
I
future.
would not budget with that in mind.
in April, they basically go away.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will we owe the broker anything?
No,
Okay,
he only gets paid if he sells something. He gets a commission based on the sale. So if he doesn't sell, he doesn't get anything.
so he'll be as motivated as he can be.
Yes, that's why he came back and asked for the 50%.
All right, any other comments on his financials?
Thanks,
Yeah, thank you. I always appreciate those. All right, let's move on to the, I think we're on the reports, right? Yep. Okay. Doug, do you want to start since you're here?
Okay, I'll be quick.
Yeah, we got a half hour if we're gonna make it.
Elbow. A few things. First of all, Doug Zanner, Chair of the Ponds Group. A few things I covered last time, ponds 47 and 48, they will start at the end of the month. The end of this month, I think the second pond, first on 47, 48 will be the second pond that we do. 48 will end up being done in, I believe, let's just say wet season. They'll expand through wet season. The thing is, we're not doing the coconut mesh. On that, we're doing hauling in rock and dirt, and then a non-geowoven fabric on top of that you can plant plants into. So because of that, I know Gateway, you guys did a pond with this technology in wet season, did not have an issue. I believe 109 was done that way with Brad. And so we got Brad and we got that technology. So I'm not as concerned about that. The only other thing there is that no clear cut had to be done on those two ponds. They completed the inspection of the banks and stuff like that. There's no trees or vegetation or plants that need to be taken out. So that's with that. So that's going along, and Jim Latham and Al Slicker are the leaders of that effort. So they're doing all the work. All I do is report. A little bit, fountains on 17 and 18 are being, I think one of them is already fixed. They had some circuit boards burnt out. If someone complains to you, they're already reported, and the aerators on 36 and 37 are waiting for some parts too. So that's just the only other thing I have here is the maintenance contracts expire on our conservation, the littoral management, and aerators and fountains. They expire the end of September, and we're in the process of going to bid. The littorals will go to bid. Marty, you'll like that, but that probably will reduce. I'm hoping it will reduce our price. And then we're using the quote system, proposal quote system for the conservation and aeration because they're smaller. But we'll end up with three different things. The littorals will bid old Pelican, new Pelican, and then the entire thing. The vendor will be able to bid on any one of those three options. And I had a meeting for about 45 minutes with Chelsea and Daniel and Al today. And I think we're in agreement of how we're going to proceed. Any questions?
Will you be able to reuse the littorals at all on 48?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's also a little advantage of trucking in the dirt and the rock. It will disturb the banks less. That's a big claw out there into the pond and bringing in the sand and stuff. And when you bring in that wet sand, that's harder to do in wet season, which is why it's a little easier to do the rock and dirt technology in wet season than it is the bringing in the coconut mesh and the sand.
This is Marty.
Yep.
With the pond level so low, we don't have any flow through the sluiceway right now. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean,
So
we are.
How much rain can we withstand before we start getting flow through the sluiceway? Which might,
No, I don't, you have to predict how much rain we're going to get, right?
well, how many?
All I know is it'll be a while before people stop complaining about the ponds are so low. But the good thing is we'll be able to do those two banks 47 and 48 with no additional costs. And per thing run across the road, right?
About 14 years ago, Flowwick was go dry,
Yeah.
not a drop.
There was that little island in the middle.
Yeah, we had islands.
So
An island,
with no, the work should be easy.
yes, much easier.
Doug, is there gonna be an additional cost for Tetra Tech on those decks?
Uh, I think there will be. I've not seen, we've not asked for a task authorization, but right now, we have not asked for a task authorization. But they were out there to do the inspection with Daniel and Jim for the LME clear cut to make sure something might need to be cut out. Tetra Tech was out there with them. And then our vendor came out. Dream Divers came out.
You'll come back to us when you have any.
All right?
All right, thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
so then here is our landscape report from Mark. Basically, I mean, I haven't heard a whole lot of rumblings on the color of the monuments. However, I know they're still rumbling. I think people are just knowing that it's happening, so. I've heard they've moved on to the wall color outside. That's
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet.
all right, so anything?
The last landscape meeting that I went to, I asked them to give some feedback as to wall coloring to try and get them to match the color of the new monuments.
Mhm.
Maybe even blend it with Bridgetown.
And he was more than willing to look at that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else on this one?
This one. Oh,
Okay,
this is-
moving on, safety and security. We've got post orders that need to be shared with Wiser, the last I heard.
We met yesterday.
You did, okay.
Yeah, yesterday.
Nothing we need to take under advisement from that?
No, it was very productive. It was
With the
nice to
new guy,
have
right?
both Gabriel and Joseph were on there. So it was Daniel, myself, Jennifer, Joseph, and Gabriel.
Okay,
When did the new contract start?
October 1st.
So they, okay. I guess my only question, and I've asked Jennifer a couple times, and I don't know if it's tied into these post orders not being updated, but the new contract was the patrol, the rover, was only supposed to be from, I thought, like 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the
That's
morning.
right.
Dark to dawn.
When we first started the contract, they were not doing that. So we didn't pay for that. You did not pay for any of that time. We only paid for the hours that the 56 hours a week that they were supposed to be doing roading patrol. That's all I paid for. They were billing us for like 100 and I'm like, nope, you get 56.
That's, we're still going around.
yeah, they are.
Afternoons and stuff, so.
Okay,
That's only the supervisor.
that could be,
There's a daylight supervisor.
Yeah, but why is he driving around?
That's the supervisor.
Well, we're not paying for it, but the only thing would be is we might be losing some oversight at the gatehouse.
Right,
But that's,
yeah, that's
when was the last time you saw, just like with my.
a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let Joe know.
all right, FPL project. I know you gave an update this morning. Do you want to recap it?
Yeah, we got the revised design from Florida Power and Light last week, and I spent the weekend going through it. It's getting close. The problem was they did a photometric layout to create uniform light patterns all the way down the boulevards. When they did the design, the placement on the construction design don't match what's on the photometric in a lot of cases. So I spent the weekend going through, moving the dots to where they were on the photometric. And it was even to the point where there's multiple sheets, there's like 30 sheets and they overlap. And so you have the same lights on different sheets. because of the overlap, but they're in different physical locations on the different sheets.
So their attention
So-
to detail is, I teach that.
As a utility design supervisor for many years, it's like, I don't even know how they're doing their design, because normally you do the whole layout and then you cut it up into sheets. So they're cutting it up into sheets and then trying to do the design. But we're getting close, and Chelsea sent those comments back to FPL, because they want to get that design, done before they can actually cost it out. And there were some duplicate lights and a few that we could remove, and they missed a couple spots. So we're getting closer, but it'll probably be another month or two before we get the final back.
This is Marty.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can expedite this project so that we're not looking at 2026 or 2027? Because, you know, as soon as we fix something, something else breaks.
Right.
And I hear a lot from the residents that it's dark on the street. The lights go.
And Board of Power and Light, until we sign the contract, you know, they get the design, we do their estimate, we sign the contract, they won't order the materials. And the decorative lights have a long lead time, and that's the, you know, the black poles and the decorative lights. You know, if you wanted to go with normal standard highway street lighting like they did over here in Gateway with the concrete poles and aluminum highway type lights, you could accelerate it. But if you want to stay with black decorative, which is the nature of Pelican traffic signs and everything else, you're kind of stuck with that lead time. I mean, the only thing we can do is turn around the agreement as quick as they get their design done, but it seems to be like pushing on a wet noodle with get them.
How close is Gateway, Laura, being done?
We're kind of at a standstill right now because we can't do anything with the roads until after April, so they're supposed to be coming back in April to finish hooking everything up and,
30%, 50%?
I'd say probably 70,
Oh,
so.
Now, as far as Pelican, I think we can tell Daniel to be a whole lot more aggressive with his contractor to get him in here and fix things.
You don't have to do with Lee County, we're not allowed to do any MOT on the roads, which is during season, which is why we can't shut any lanes down for them to work on the wiring on Griffin or Gateway. So that's the reason that we're so.
is
I'm talking to Pelican.
No, I'm just saying, you guys don't need to deal with that, so.
okay. Anything else that, other than we know we're moving forward with the, resurfacing on Aviano and Ravenna?
Mhm.
And,
I haven't, that's what my note for later is. It's supposed to be the week of May 5th to the 9th, that's what I was told.
And I think they're going out for bid on
the
the
bigger,
first stretch of Pelican.
and would we have those numbers back in, you think, for budget or?
26, you know.
They were potentially looking at trying to do that in this budget year, but I don't know.
Okay, I won't say anything because I'm gonna jinx us. All right, anything else that you guys want to cover on safety and security?
Listen,
Just from a president's meeting, this is Marty.
Mhm.
Are we gonna be replacing stop signs so that they're more reflective?
That came up at the last safety and security meeting, and Daniel said his supervisor was kind of doing an inventory to identify those that were in the worst shape of reflectivity or luminous to potentially find out what the cost would be to have those replaced.
All right, I'm gonna ask a little bit. So,
They never said that.
where do we stand with the device that measures the speed of the vehicles on the street? I still don't see it.
It,
And, you know, I'm wondering if it can be modified to identify when a car comes to a stop at a stop sign. Because I'm telling you, at the intersection of Trias and Pelican, they don't stop. They're not even slowing down.
John's been trying to find all the parts to those. They finally.
Rich Glover's on it.
Hmm?
Rich Glover is on top of that, but he's
Yeah.
ordered new batteries and cables.
Jennifer was gonna help try to find pieces.
they're gonna have to order some, they couldn't find, last I heard, hadn't been able to find the batteries and some cables, so they're gonna be ordering batteries and cables so that they can get those out. And even if it isn't modified, I think if they placed them right, you would be able to pick up the speed at a stop sign, they, and that. So yeah, that's one of the worst, and that's probably when we did the street lighting. We just, on a side note, we went kind of back and forth because the current layout actually has extra lighting leading up to that intersection so that that's well lit. They're coming out of the gatehouse to that. And I was toying around with whether or not we could take a light out so that it would be uniform with the rest of it. But I've kind of thrown up my hands and said, that one probably needs to be more well lit than any of the others, because that seems to be where we have a lot of the problems, because you've got the entrance to the preserve, cart path, and everything else there, so.
Any other questions on it?
Daniel's, he's listening in, so those stop signs have been ordered, we are waiting for them to be delivered.
Very nice. How many were there?
He didn't tell me that, I'll find out, I'll let you know.
Thank you. There you go.
So we don't even have to wait to go through safety and security for that, I guess. So.
4, he said 4.
4. Okay. All right, let's move on then. Let's go to, we've got,
We're skipping this one.
oh yeah, give me that.
Oh, this is landscape, I'll put this on side. This is landscape.
8 alpha. So we've got,
Skipping Charlie,
oh, Charlie.
we're skipping Charlie, so,
Oh.
no, I meant 8 Charlie. Just for.
So we have 2 people who are already on the landscape committee that are opting to renew their terms. And both of them have been very valuable to the committee from everything that I've heard. So is there any discussion on these? I'd like to make a motion then that we accept both Bruce Blatt and Vince Pagetto.
Second.
Right, and we have a second by John. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for voting with us, Marie.
They doubled their salary.
At double their salary, yeah, because we don't
Give him
have
some zeros.
All right, and here we have safety and security, has 6 members and they want to bring it up to 7. So they've got John Morabito, who's got some really good qualifications from what I had read, that they'd like to have approved for their subcommittee. Any discussion on that?
What qualifications are you talking about? You know,
If you look in his attachment,
can we see that?
so, no, he said, he's got upper management involving construction, and when I talked to Jennifer, she had said he's got a real good perspective on helping to make things move forward in a project sense.
Yeah.
So she thought he was a strong candidate. And plus he pays bocce and pickleball, so really,
What else is there to say?
yeah. And he's a full-time person, so that has been one of their
That's a huge
challenges.
benefit.
Yeah.
I moved to accept John for the safety and security position.
Already second.
Smarty seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
We're skipping to 9.
And we're skipping to 9.
I don't think safety and security's been at full staff.
They have not. I think she was a little bit excited. Okay,
They've been at 6 for quite a while.
okay, so member items and reports, we're moving to 9. And I'm gonna start, John, with you.
Nothing.
Anything from you? And we'll get you hooked up with landscape so that you can participate to your heart's desire.
I asked Georgia to let Rob know and to send you the invites for the landscape meeting, so you'll see that in your district email.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Ed,
I don't really have anything.
okay. I think Doug has covered everything from a pond's perspective, so we're good there. Emma?
Nope.
Marty?
Yes, I think the liaisons should stress to their subcommittees that we need to have fiscal responsibility. We need to attempt to make some budget cuts. Pelican Preserve for some residents is becoming unaffordable. And, it's prompting people to leave. We don't want people to leave. We want people to stay and enjoy our community. And, I'm not too sure the community association has their budget under control. And, I don't want to see 14% increases in our budget or the community association.
So
That's all I
noted.
have.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next meeting agenda.
I have capital projects listed. Is there anything else you'd like to see?
We probably will not have preliminary budgets from the subcommittees at that point, so I would say,
I can work with the chairs individually to send out, and have them give. some-
you'll give them the
Just feedback, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and you'll be copied on it. I'll send it to all the chairs.
If we could get, to put the PPAC, new member recommendations on that.
I already have that.
Okay,
Going to next month. Yep, they'll be on there. George already moved into the April meeting.
perfect, perfect. Anything else that people want to make sure we get on there? We're in our lull, people. We need to enjoy these shorter meetings because once it gets to budget.
I can make a motion, Chair.
Marty would like to make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, second by